reset it?
Reset.
Okay.
You can pick up where you left off.
Okay, go ahead.
In that, I guess it's more fun to play that way. It's more fun to, use your talents for the betterment of others. It's not, an idea of what am I going to get from this? It's what am I going to give? And what am I going to add to the experience rather than what's in it for me? And that's difficult nowadays when, you're talking about athletic scholarships and people looking ahead. My whole thing is, if I can give them any, advice, is enjoy where you're at right now. Take it to the fullest. It's something that's going to stay with you. You don't get that back.
Right.
You'll never get that high school experience back. So,
And it won't be the same in college.
No.
It's different. As a college player, you
No,
can probably
not at
say.
all. It's very much, and I think even the demands have become more so. It's a 24/7 almost job. You set your academic schedule around your football practice schedule and your availability from a football standpoint, whereas this experience that we had at Brother Rice was we're playing with our friends, the guys we really care about, the guys from our neighborhoods, the surrounding Catholic schools, and you want to do it. It's
Oh, yeah.
not somebody dragging you out there to do it.
Yeah.
You really loved it.
Yeah. Coach has a poster hanging up in his office that I think talks about the lessons that he teaches, not just about football, but about life.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to read it to you and then have you comment on it as a former player and as a coach. The poster said, how a man plays shows you something about his character. How he loses shows all of it.
That's great. Yeah, I guess another saying is that your character is revealed through your sports participation. Not it's not built, it's revealed, and I think it's very true. Obviously we were all very motivated. We wanted to win. There's no doubt about that. But with Coach Fracassa, there was always a point of you do it with class. You do it as a gentleman. You're a sportsman. You don't talk and call attention to yourself. You go out and get the job done and keep your mouth shut. And then when you are successful, you're humble. There's humility. There's some graciousness, and you go on to the next week. You don't live in that. You of course you enjoy it and you relish it. But I think that the follow-up to that is that to me, what's been most critical, and I love to win. Love to prepare to win and all those great things, but what stays with me and what I see from my players and what I think we experienced as players is the relationships that you make with those guys that you sweat with and with you work so hard with. It's just, I think it's something that if you haven't experienced it, you just don't know what it's about. Like what we experienced as players. You have to kind of go through that, and that closeness and that relationship is just a special thing that trying to, every year when I get my team, I try to do it again one more time.
Well, I found that the things that I learned in high school on the football field was things in terms of building character, in terms of values, in terms of accepting defeat in the proper way, winning in the right way, were things that I carried with me the rest of my life.
Sure.
In my business, in my relations with my family and friends.
Yep.
What are your lasting thoughts of your 4 years at Brother Rice?
Yeah, I think it taught me perseverance, that no matter how bad or good things were going, you had the responsibility to stick in there and do your very best, regardless of what the situation was. Taught me that perseverance. I kind of had a pretty rough college career, but I wasn't ever, while I thought of new ways about going about it, I don't think I ever really seriously thought about quitting. So there was that perseverance, doing your best, and I thought Coach was great at preparation. I always think about that. I kind of start the week with every opponent that we play thinking, we've got no chance. And by the end of the week, through our preparation, I kind of feel somewhat good about it, that we're going to be ready. And I think that type of preparation helps you in that you never really, you hopefully don't get overconfident. Like you think, I got this thing licked and we're just going to be successful by walking out there. That's happened, but not a lot. Most times you just go about your business. It teaches you, you build a organization or you work with people and you hopefully have a strong foundation and you build from that.
I felt when we played at Brother Rice that we had a leg up on almost all of our opponents, and I think part of that was that coach was never satisfied with the status quo. He was out there learning from the Pittsburgh Steelers
Right.
and bringing back the four quarters.
Yep.
He one of his idols was Vince Lombardi, and he brought back with him the Green Bay drill.
Right.
I still shudder when I say those words. And the
do it. Let's do it here.
early, the weight training program and the agilities,
Right.
things that now everyone says, well, yeah, everyone was doing that. Well, at that time,
Nobody wants.
we were the only ones that were doing that. And I felt that gave us a competitive edge. Can you talk a little bit about?
There's no doubt about that. I think that Coach's genius, if you will, was preparation, conditioning, and kind of his love of that part of it, and to do it in the proper way. I thought about this a lot when I talked to you originally, and I think your class was the last class to go out to that conditioning camp prior to the start of the season. And I think it was you who told me that Coach didn't like it because he thought it was just, run people into the ground and not let them up. Whereas I think Coach got us absolutely prepared and conditioned, but he also did it with a sense of purpose, with a sense that when we were just about at our breaking point, he would let up. To me, there's some genius in that, not just, grind these guys into a rock, because then they're going to hate it. We loved it. We were ready. We were prepared, and I definitely agree with you that we had a leg up on our competition. And, we played against good people. You and I played, baseball in Southfield, and there were some great individual athletes. But when they were on the team that we played in football, they didn't stand a chance just because of the things that you talked about the things that Coach was willing to do to kind of be ahead of the curve, in terms of the conditioning, in terms of just little nuances that made a huge difference. I think we, on our team there in '74, we didn't have too many two-way players.
No, we didn't.
And so not too many people were doing that back then. And just, but the only way that you could do that was bring the best out of everybody, tell them they had a role and they had to do their very best with it. It was uncommon back in the days, of our high school career, and I think that was the genius of Coach. It wasn't big things, earth-shattering X's and O's. We were pretty, 3 yards in a cloud of dust type thing back then, but the preparation, just those little things, like he said, that made the difference between being a good team and being a great team. I thought he did those well.
As he managed that team during my 3 years on the varsity, I recall that in each year we ran a different offense, completely different offense. In my sophomore year, it was a power I. Junior year, it was a pro set, and senior year, he scrapped everything and installed the wishbone.
Yeah.
And it was all based on, high school more than any other type of sport. You only have these kids at the varsity level, if you're lucky, 3 years, 2 years, and then you're turning them over, and you're turning them over, and you're turning them over. It's hard to see how you can be a systems coach at the high school level and be successful for a long period of time, because you get a varying degree of talent as your teams turn over. And I think that was one of his strengths and his genius, was evaluating the team and then not forcing a system down on them, but trying to put in the best system to capitalize on their strengths. Can you talk about that as a high school coach?
Yeah, I think there are a couple parts to that. Yes, you have to be able to change and read your personnel, but I think at the other end of that, you have to have a good fundamental base, which I think we did. We were really good at the blocking and the tackling, which I still believe in today, which I try to imbue with my teams. Don't beat yourself. How do you beat yourself? Well, you beat yourself most of all in football by not being a team that executes the fundamentals. So I think that was the bottom line for Coach, and he did. He was willing to make changes that was going to help us, give us the best chance to win. But underlying that was just a huge fundamental base of what it took to win football games and grind it out. And you know, we had some talent. There was, you know, if you look over the years, even since we left, you know, they had, John English, who could throw the ball all over the lot, to Marty Martinez, and, you know, we had great running backs and receivers, and Dave Urema, who, you know, played with my brothers, who was a, you know, exceptional quarterback. So, you know, I think Coach kind of changed with the times with that, you know, and he was willing to go out and do the work and study, you know, the Veer offense, the, you know, certain aspects of other offenses. You know, he was a quarterback, and so, you know, I think he liked the offensive games. But, you know, when push came to shove, I think we all probably knew what was going to be run, which was the isolation play and the power, and, you know, and just, you know, put it on the line. Are you going to be able to stop this, or are we going to be able to impose our will on you? And if we can, we're going to win this game. And, you know, the record speaks for him. He's the winningest coach in Michigan history.
Finally, I'm
I'll
asked
stop you right there.